Hello and welcome to another episode of Monday BJJ with me, your host, Brian. After some hand fighting with my first opponent, we decided to lock up and attempt to do some trips. I used a butterfly hook to flip him over, but then didn't guard my legs against his hands, and so he winds up doing a takedown against me. I was trying for some sort of choke on the way down and kind of missed it. So here he's going to try to grab my legs and push past them, and I try to engage a butterfly guard, and it took me too long to figure out my sweep, so he starts getting underneath my legs and trying to pressure pass. I try to do a triangle while he's pressure passing, and ultimately he is able to pass around the side of me. It takes a while, and he winds up in kind of a half guard position, and I'm able to sweep him by pushing back into him, and then he sweeps back into me again, and we kind of wind up in this same position where I try to throw him over again, and he comes back into my guard and eventually is able to step into half guard and then step out of the half guard and then step back across into a full mount position. Here I'm rolling against our instructor, and I'm trying to clear my legs, and instead I wind up walking back into his guard, or he engages his guard around me, depending on how you want to take that. So here he's able to throw me back and get me into a lower position, and he tries to go for a back take there and let me kind of fend it off for a little bit before he sweeps me the other way. And then he finished me, but it was blocked in the camera. So here we go back to a new position, and he does a sweep on me, and then I try to buck him off, and he sort of rides it into this side control position and starts working this really nasty choke after he grabs my arm to grab my lapel, and finishes me that way. And then now he sweeps me there, or takes me down from standing, I guess, with a little trip. And then here I'm trying the spider guard against him. It's something I've just been finding myself in a lot more. And then here he stacks me and just leaves me for playing spider guard poorly. So I'm trying to roll out of it in some way, and he's just preventing me, making it very uncomfortable. So I thought I'd just leave this in so you could all witness how long that abuse lasted. And then here he does a very smooth mount take, and he's starting to set up the cross collar choke, and I'm trying to buck him off, and I think eventually he lands it on me. And so then now I'm rolling against another white belt, and he does a really smooth takedown into a mount. And I wind up being able to pull guard back on him. I think at some point we were very active and rolled around on the mat a lot, sometimes without changing position. So some of that stuff I just wound up cutting out. And then here I'm able to roll him over, but he's still kind of got hooks in, so it sort of winds up being a back take, except that I'm able to turn into him. And then he's kind of got an arm bar, and I'm kind of rolling over him, and we kind of come out the back, and he winds up with another sort of back take. And here he's trying to pull me over, and I'm just kind of trying to stay defensive. And then here he transitions into a mount, and we wind up rolling again, but we were behind other people, so you don't really get to see us transition to where I was on top again. And then eventually that round ends. Here I am with another one of the guys that I roll with pretty frequently, and he sets up this sort of cross body thing and winds up pulling me in and starting to set up the triangle. And here I'm trying to pressure pass, and he transitions it into more of an arm bar, and then transitions the arm bar back into the triangle. And then I try to pass around again, and then I think he transitions it back to the arm bar or back into some other leg thing, and then we transition back again. And then I'm still trying to kind of come up, and then there he uses his foot to peel my head back and then gets the arm bar that way. So this is a very neat sequence of events. And then here we go back into another roll. You can see here that he goes for a sweep from guard, but we're able to maintain our balance, and so we don't roll. So here I go to grab his lapels and start choking, and he flips me over, and I'm pretty sure the round just ended, and that was the only reason that happened. So I've been wanting to work on some single leg takedowns, so I try a single leg on him, and he attempts to flip me over, and I kind of leave my foot in a vulnerable position to leg locks, and so I let him try a few different leg locks on me just to get some practice in with him. And then here we just did a couple of minutes of side control just for the end of the round. And here I'm against a blue belt who started showing up more, and he really does this well, where he sucks me in and then kind of winds up pulling himself on top. So I tried to turn into him, so I'm at least being able to get my legs in between us. And then he's got a good sort of cross-face grip on the back of my gi here, really putting a lot of pressure into me. He winds up getting the mount and then sliding the leg behind to set up for the triangle. And then I really like how sort of just slowly and methodically he's able to set it up here, and you can see all the adjustments that he's doing to really get it lined up and tight. And so then we go back into the next round, and here he just kind of leans back, and so I'm trying to think, okay, let me straighten out his legs, and then I don't keep them straight once I get them straightened out, and so he's able to trip me and make me fall over. And he doesn't really follow up because he doesn't really need to, because I wasn't really trying to get back up. I think I was a little more tired by this point in the night and playing a little more defense than I needed to, not being as offensive as I should have. And so he punishes me with the neon belly and finishes this really neat choke under here that was also very, very good. So here I'm trying to be a little better, and he does a nice inversion to sort of come around, and then he follows up, keeping control of my legs and my hips. One of my legs was crossed over there, you could see, and so he comes across with this choke, kind of like I think people have called this a crucifix or something, and ends up being something of an arm bar. And so whenever somebody waves you in, you know you're probably not going to have a good time rolling against them. And so I kind of tried to just pressure into his legs and wound up giving him my back. So probably don't lead with your shoulders. And then here we go against the instructor again, and pressuring into him again. And here he does the spider sweep that I was trying to do earlier and failed to do well. And so he's pressuring me, and he does this really nice slide through, and he switches back and forth a couple times just to change how the pressure is being applied to me, keep things fresh and interesting. And then eventually kind of lets me back up, so I try to stand up well and maintain contact with him. And then going for kind of a wrestler head and arm, and he ducks out from underneath it, and so takes my back, and then he just kind of does a little horsey ride here for funsies before he does the full back take, and starts to set up for some even worse chokes. And so here he's coming across, and that was another really nasty choke. So this time I sort of try to jump on him, get around the legs where I don't have to deal with them, and I set up a paper cutter choke that I worked for a long time and never really get to work, and so I worry about my grips burning out, and I wind up letting go of it. And that was partially like right at the time that he decided to try to break out of it, and so he winds up kind of getting to my back, and I'm trying to turn into him, and it's not working super great, but it's always about trying to fight. And so I try to get my arm down so he can't do any kind of arm locks on me, and that was the end of that round. Hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time.